Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my hashtag Behind Relationship Goals. I'm Bones, this is Fofo, and Sleepy Soba.
With Soba groaning, we would like to let you know that this podcast episode is brought to you by AXA.
Yes, if you guys want to learn more about the healthcare plans that they provide or that they offer, make sure to go to their website, which is www.axa.com.ph, or you can click the link in the caption below.
And throughout the course of this episode, we will be touching on the question, why should you or we get a health plan?
Okay, Fofo, so bakit ba talaga natin kailangan ng healthcare plan?
Well, there are many reasons why people would get healthcare plans. Of course, it would depend on your situation, your life circumstances, where you are in your life at the moment. For some people, it might be financial security. For others, it might be because they have history of health concerns in their family. So there are many reasons why you could get one. And Bonizi and I will kind of dive into the stories between our own decision on why we feel we need one and why we did get one as well.
Okay, first off, let's talk about the past year because I feel like that was such a big factor for us in choosing to get a healthcare plan.
And with that actually brings us to the topic of this episode, which is what has changed for us in this past year. Now, I know we had a podcast episode about this already where what were our adjustments during this pandemic, but it's been over a year now. None of us really expected it to last this long initially, but it has, and it looks like it might, prolong itself to another year or maybe two, or hopefully not three. So I think it's important to kind of like sit down, reflect, and think about what has changed in our lives and what has changed in our projection of the future because of this past year.
It's pretty crazy because at the beginning of 2020, when there was news that we would have to just stay at home, we couldn't go outside of our homes, I was thinking, okay, like after 3 months, we're gonna go back to work, we're gonna do everything that we're so used to doing, and here we are, still stuck at home, not being able to go out. So I think a big thing that has changed for me in the past year would have to be independence, because I used to be very dependent on Fofo, as you all know. Boo! And I used to be very dependent on Cel, who is my PA, and she's our help at home, especially when it came to work. I would always be like, Cel is just there to help me out all the time, and that wasn't a healthy relationship right there. I've also learned how to be independent when it came to work. So in terms of being dependent on, let's say, my management, Fofo, or even Cel when it came to work, ako na yung bahala na ngayon sa lahat ng yan.
Okay, you need to provide an example. Give us a concrete example of what you are talking about.
For example, if I was at taping or if I was at a shoot, I would ask Cel for every little single thing that I needed, and I wouldn't be able to get it myself because at the back of my head, I'm like, Cel's always there. She's always there to help me, and I'll just focus on work. If I think about it, Parahome Baby na may yaya talaga. So I didn't like having that kind of sense of security in that aspect because I was too dependent on other people na parang kung bigla na lang silang nawala or they couldn't be there with me, then I would feel like I couldn't do my job properly.
Okay, Bonizi, I have so many questions right now, but just to let you know, okay, when you have an assistant on set or if your work requires you to have an assistant, then it is okay if you allow the assistant to assist you and offload some of the lesser activities that you would otherwise, need to concern yourself with, so that you can primarily put all of your mental space into the actual primary work that you're doing, which in your case would have been acting in the teleserye.
Yes.
However, in your case kasi, you completely just did not acknowledge that you could do it on your own as well.
Yeah, there were some things that I could really do on my own. I didn't need her to help me out with the little stuff over there. I could have easily gotten my own food from catering, but she would be there to help me out with stuff like that. So, just the little things that really add up.
Yeah, and then during the few times that Cel might not be available, maybe because she's sick, Bonizi needed to know that she could do things on her own. But at that time, before a few years ago, Bonizi always felt super helpless when she didn't have Cel by her side, which is the most important thing to note because that's not what you're supposed to feel. Because having a team is supposed to empower you, and then even when they're not around, you need to have the confidence to be able to go about the work that you need to do, even if they're not there.
Here's an example number 2. I used to be so dependent on my management that I would let them have the say in everything without me thinking about, okay, is this something that I really want to do, or is this something that I feel I'm able to put value into. Because at the back of my head, I'm like, yes, put all my trust in my management and they'll just do everything, decide everything, and I'll show up. And I realized that in the longer run, what if I'm not happy with what I'm doing because of a decision that somebody else made for me without asking me? So I needed to be able to empower myself and say na, okay, ito yung plano na gusto ko para sa sarili ko, ito yung path na gusto ko para sa sarili ko, and we can work together as a team and put our ideas together. Hindi lang sila yung magdedesisyon para sa akin.
Okay, so I know a lot of people do this, and I think us as Filipinos, since we are more conservative, we have the tendency to have a similar mindset as Bonizi, where we offload all critical decisions. Because when you do that, you're kind of offloading accountability. When you make a decision in an important part of your life, of course you have to take accountability because you don't know if this decision will be the best choice that you're going to make.
Yes, and growing up kasi, I was taught na, sige, just accept everything that you can because you don't know where you're gonna be in the next year, the next 5 years. So just keep on accepting, especially when you're like 16, 17 years old in show business. You're like, yeah, I'll just try everything out. So that's the mindset that I had all this time. Akala ko accept lang.
Yeah, but what Bonizi failed to do there was really just give herself and invest herself in the decision making. Because at that point, you're just a puppet. Basically, you're a puppet to your manager because you allowed yourself to be that way. Now, there is the other side of the spectrum, which is where I would more normally fall. And that is someone who does not want to be helped. Someone who works in a team pero gusto niya buwakaw siya. Diba? Lahat ng decisions, akin lang. Ako lang yung gagawa ng decisions. Kaya ko to. And not in a bad way that I'm blocking them out. But I'm like, no, I'll do it na. To the point that, of course, you need to know there are limitations as an individual. And that's why you're a team, because you want to be more than the sum of your parts. If there are 3 to you in a team, maybe you 3 can do the workload of like 10 people. But me as one person, I will never ever surpass the workload that one person can do. Because I'm only one person. So that was my learning, although I learned that a bit earlier. That wasn't because of this past year. Now let's move back to this past year. Bonizi, you were talking about work which happened like several years ago. How did you become independent over the last 12 months?
Over the last 12 months, I learned how to take charge with my responsibilities when it came to work. So little things really go a long way, and that means replying right away to an inquiry that we have, writing down all my notes to see what I need to go back to, and writing everything down so that I have a copy of the transaction that was made. And these are things that I didn't do in the past that have helped me in the past year.
I have to say, Bonizi has gotten better at doing all the things that she has to do immediately. And if there are obstacles to doing her activities immediately, she's able to write it down and do it at a later date. Still not perfect, but I would say like a 5x improvement at the very least. Like, it's crazy, like 500%.
Yeah, before, I was so bad at replying, Fofo. And guys, if you get an email or a message, please reply right away because it's only respect for the person that is messaging you. So what about you, Fofo? What is something that you have learned in the past year?
I think one thing that's changed a lot is my travel outlook. Because we got married January of 2020. The pandemic and the first quarantine hit in the Philippines exactly 2 months later. And we had made this internal decision between you and me where we were just going to enjoy life as a couple first. So no kids yet. And part of enjoying is usually traveling. So we were super duper excited to start, doing all these traveling activities and just exploring and just working. And then things completely shut down. So the first 3 months of quarantine, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is shocking. Let's just go with the flow. And then later on, like now, you see that, oh my god, this is gonna be a lot longer than any of us initially expected. And I've had to rewire my brain on how I feel about traveling. And I don't know if I've ever shared this to you, but I have zero urge to travel nowadays, especially out of the country.
Same.
I have urges to travel within the country, but during times of quarantine, then obviously not. So I have no FOMO anymore when it comes to travel. Oh, of course, I've never really had, but
you've never had FOMO.
Yeah, but I don't have these urges anymore. But I think the most important distinction or part of the story is that I used to find so much happiness in traveling. And when that was taken away from me, I had to sit down and figure out, okay, what makes me happy in this situation? Because this situation doesn't allow for travel. And that is my journey to discovering what other things make me happy in this kind of setting.
I think that's a real struggle for a lot of people during this time because a lot of us are stuck at home and had things that made us happy outside of our homes. So changing mindset is difficult. and it's not something that comes easily to a lot of people. But you being able to think outside of the box and say, okay, I'm happy with traveling, but I can't do that right now. So what makes me happy in this moment? What makes me happy in the surrounding? Even though it's such a sucky situation and it's not something in our favor. So Fofo, what makes you happy in this situation?
Okay, so now that we have a lot of time here at home, I've been building a lot of computers and I've been working with different kinds of code and learning a little bit, and that's been taking up a lot of my free time when I'm not working, and that's made me extremely happy. I've never really had the time to sit down because when I've had free time, I would choose to always get up and go and leave and travel somewhere. So nowadays, I really had to look, and when it comes to tinkering with computers and coding and programs, it's a hobby that I haven't gotten into since before I graduated college. So I reinvigorated my fire for that particular kind of hobby. And I think it's really important for people to find these other things that make them happy within this space, because it would get very toxic if all I was thinking about was, when am I going to travel? This is the only thing that will make me truly happy if I get to travel. Unfortunately, we don't control the situation that will allow you to go out abroad. So I had to completely take that out of my system. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I have no plans of putting it back. So I'm actually cool if we don't become the travel buddies whom we were in past years. And I'm happy to discover more new things and new hobbies. FYI, I have a Raspberry Pi coming in and I'm gonna make my own mini computer. Not sure what it's going to do yet, but we'll figure it out, I guess.
Well, speaking of travel, hopefully we get to do that in the future pa din, diba? Syempre, that's always in the back of our minds. But for me naman, something that I've been able to find that makes me happy here at home is, one, I've gotten into keyboards, which you guys already know. But another thing that I guess makes me happy that doesn't involve some sort of money output is getting involved with online communities is something that I really enjoy doing. So every day I'm checking my Discord for the Girl Gamers Philippines tab. So I have it on the mechanical keyboard group. I have it in the general chat. I have it in our guild for Pillarmen for Fallout Shelter Online. So I'm just checking up all these different communities that I'm a part of, and just checking up on everyone.
Okay, just to summarize, online communities now are humongous. I think they're the lifeblood of a lot of people nowadays. It's a new hobby that people have gotten into and a new connection to other people that most people have now. For Bonizi, she has the Girl Gamers of the Philippines. Second community is our Pillarmen Guild in Fallout Shelter Online. The third one would be the Mechanical Keyboard Group. Is there any other groups that you're actively involved with?
So far, yun lang.
And me, being the solo gamer that I am not involved with any community.
He doesn't even look at our guild Discord.
No, wait. I must say I am a lurker.
Yeah, you just look.
So whenever there's a necessity, for example, in Fallout Shelter Online, if I need tips and tricks or I need a summary of the newest update, then I will go lurking into the community and just reading what everybody else has posted
Sana
about it.
kilalanin mo naman yung guildmates natin.
Di na, okay lang. Nandun naman yung name ko. That's all the activity that I shall provide. Ikaw na yung bahala para sa akin. And with that, we're gonna take a pause on this episode to remind you guys that this podcast episode is brought to you by AXA.
Of course, we always keep in mind that we should protect ourselves. But what's also important to Fofo and I is that we take care of the people around us that help us in our everyday lives, and of course, the people that matter to us.
And that's actually one of the reasons why we got and why some of you guys should consider getting a healthcare plan. One of the most affordable, accessible, and comprehensive healthcare plan options out there is AXA Philippines' newest offering called the Healthcare Access. With this plan, most medical expenses are covered, from hospitalization, surgery, to outpatient care and emergency care. You can modify and choose your own type of plan, big or small, depending on your healthcare needs, which allows you to have flexibility.
Not to mention, healthcare access benefits even beyond retirement, unlike others that expire after your retirement age. Healthcare Access has a health fund that you can use for medical needs once you hit 76 when you need it the most.
But one of the most important things to consider is how we can prepare ourselves given possibility of getting sick due to COVID-19. Healthcare Access provides healthcare coverage for COVID-19 so we can rest a bit easy knowing we're fully prepared. So it might sound a bit weird that you think, I'm getting myself a healthcare plan, but in this way, I'm also helping my loved ones around me. So this was a realization that Bones and I had just this past 12 months. Because if I got sick and it came to the point where the medical bills and financial burden was so big, that I would have to start asking money from my loved ones and the people around me, that would be such a burden and such a huge stress on everyone's shoulder. But with a healthcare plan, I can be confident in what I'm doing and keep on going throughout my life, that even if I do get sick or I do get hospitalized, I do have this asset that will take care of me, and that is the healthcare plan. So that is one huge consideration into why we finally pulled the trigger and got a plan for ourselves.
I think it's also because we are so unsure of what the future has for us. We don't know what could happen, what could suddenly happen to our bodies, and having that sense of security is always such a big help. So if you guys are wondering what kind of healthcare plans AXA has to offer, make sure that you check out their website, which is www.axa.com.ph.
If there are any plans that you might consider, you might want to look into the AXA Healthcare Access Plan. And now we move back to the podcast episode. So we discussed what has changed within us individually over the past 12 months. But Bonizi, as a couple, what changes have you seen?
I can say that we are able to communicate better nowadays. Would you agree?
I shall wait for your explanation.
Okay, so you guys know that it has been a struggle for me to be open about my observations, about my feelings, but it's something that I've been really trying to practice throughout the past year. And I can say that from Fofo's end naman, he tries to look at not just from his point of view, but also from my point of view. So tinitignan niya rin from both sides now. And because we've both adjusted to each other and to ourselves na rin, we're able to communicate our thoughts better. And I think we're able to communicate them in a way na walang nasasaktan, that's very objective, so that we can better improve ourselves.
I agree with Bonizi. Surprisingly, when I think about it, I think I have learned to communicate better with Bonizi by not communicating with her.
Really?
Yeah, no, in a way, I'm just playing with the words, but
Okay.
I've learned to communicate better with Bonizi by not talking as much, because we've been together for 10 years. I needed to have confidence in knowing that Bonizi knew what she had to work on. Instead of constantly reminding her, which could turn into nagging Bonizi, I would take a step back and see if she'd actually do her thing. And I'm happy to say and happy to report she has been doing her thing. Of course, a little nudge here and there never hurt anybody, but for the most part, I think that taking a step back has improved our communication, because she would communicate with me through her actions now, and I would see it. And even without words said, I'm like, oh, okay, she's doing her job. I'm gonna do my job right now.
Just to give you guys an example, whenever Fofo would get upset with me about something, he would go straight to me and say like, why did you do this and that, blah, 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 nag, 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 nag.
Whoa, nag, nag, nag,
No, I'm just exaggerating here. Because you said you didn't want to sound like you were nagging. It wasn't nagging to me, but you would just be like, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? But nowadays, like he said, he takes a step back, and when I know and feel that Fofo is upset, I don't go to him right away and say sorry, because I need to sit back and think, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I do to change about what I did wrong? And how can I improve myself in the future? So that when I talk to Fofo and we finally have a conversation about why he was upset with me, at least I have a plan that I can give Fofo, and it's not just me saying sorry without telling him how I'm going to improve myself in the future. So in the first half of the podcast, we talked about how we thought of our future and how that has drastically changed. What about our financial outlook?
Wow, now that you say this, Bonizi, I realize that so much has changed in terms of our financial system and our outlook. And surprisingly, I think I'm happy to share that our overall expenses month to month has dropped by 50%. Because when you think about it, we don't spend on gas. We don't spend on eating out anymore or restaurants. We don't spend on coffee outside anymore.
Yeah.
We buy beans, and most of our toiletries and everyday essentials that we use at home, we buy in bulk, so we get it a bit cheaper. And there are no more budgets for traveling. There are no more budgets for new clothes or other luxury items.
Yeah.
So as I was looking at our month-to-month expenses, I saw such a steep drop. However, the most important part there is there was no drop in happiness.
Yeah.
So Bonizi and I are still extremely, extremely happy, yet our expenses have completely just fallen off the cliff. So that makes me even doubly happy.
Yay.
So That was a very unexpected turn of events, I must say. What do you think about that, Bones?
I have to agree with Fofo because we used to spend on luxury stuff before, and that would have been travel. Travel is a luxury. And we've decided to put our extra money on the side into things that would make us happier here at home. A good example is our food because we were used to having food from like restaurants. Sel would make food for us from time to time, or we would order from a food meal plan. But we decided, okay, let's invest more in our food because it's something that nourishes us. It makes us happy. Our body's healthier. And we decided to spend just a little bit more on a plan that we knew would make us healthy and it would be efficient in terms of time because all we had to do was heat up our food.
So basically, our food plan comes from my cousin who is a firm believer of plant-based diets. So from Monday to Saturdays, we eat her meals and she prepares them and sends them over twice a week, and all we have to do is reheat them, cook them, or bake them in the oven. Now, if you look at the money aspect of this, the food expenditure and restaurant expenditure prior to 2020 is still so much higher than the extra expense that we paid to my cousin for their food services.
Yeah, and if you look at it from like just like the billing that they would give us, it is pricier than some of the meal services that are out there. But like Fofo said, all the money that we would spend on restaurants before went into the meal plan that we have, and we're still saving money.
And not only that, we're able to increase our fitness and our health because plant-based diets are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we don't feel sleepy anymore in the middle of the afternoon. It just makes us feel happier and I guess lighter na rin.
Another adjustment that Bonizi and I did when it comes to our finances is we've cut down on a lot of the memberships that we've had. So memberships to the gym, app memberships, memberships to websites.
Yeah.
And we've really kind of streamlined, okay, where do we usually watch shows? And then everything else we cut off. So we cut off all the excess fat. And this amounts to a lot. So imagine one streaming membership costs you 250 pesos.
Okay.
Then maybe a music membership costs you another 200 pesos. Then your membership to an app and maybe a game is like another 300, 500 pesos.
Yeah.
So in 1 year, just those four things costs you 12,000 pesos in 1 year. And we had like what, 10 to 15 memberships in so many different places.
Yeah.
Just the gym membership, which would be anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 pesos a month per person. So that's like 6K a month for
Lalo
you
na
and
yung
me.
Pilates, Fofo.
So we've adjusted to life here at home, and we have our home gym set up here. We have our programs to aid us with our workouts. So cutting off all this excess fat has also made us financially healthier. So these are just the positive points that we've found during this pandemic, which I hope that all of you guys can find as well in your own lives, because it is there. But if we choose to look at what we've lost, then of course it's never gonna feel good. It's always nice to be able to focus on what we've gained. And we're sharing with you some of the unexpected gains that we've had over the past 12 months.
Okay, so updates from Bones and Fofo after, 2020. We're in the second half of 2021 already. It's been a year and a half. What are the updates now on us?
Well, just this morning, Sel and Meng finally left the house. Bye! No, I'm kidding. They finally had a chance to go home. They haven't been home in over 14 months.
Yeah.
And we felt super bad, and every time we would look for an opportunity for them to go home, something unexpected would happen.
Yeah.
Another quarantine would hit. There would be another variant coming about. So we finally were able to find the right time for them to go home, and we're happy to have them go back to their family for the next couple of weeks.
Can you imagine?
But that also means
What?
that you and I are alone at home.
And that means that we have to
Do the
make
dishes,
the chores,
clean up,
mop, wash the bathroom, Fofo.
pick up after Soba and all her little droppings.
Salem also.
Oh
don't
no,
forget.
ikaw na bahala kay Salem.
But it's okay. I mean, imagine Sel and Meng from 2 times a year going home. Halos hindi sila nakauwi for the past year and a half. So it has been tough on them. And finally, they get to go home for an extended period of time. And I'm happy that they finally get to see family. But for Bones and Fofo naman, an update on us is that for me, I finally am on a new workout plan. There's a trainer that I'm working with on this, and I'm excited to see how it's going to affect my body in the next month or two, and of course my mindset na rin, because it is a different kind of program. I'm not used to it. It's something that Fofo has done with his previous workouts, but yeah, I'm just excited to see how it's gonna go from here.
I'm happy to report that for the past 15 months, I've had a happy belly. It has not been growing, but neither has it been shrinking.
Has it not been growing?
It has not been growing, Bonizi. Compared to the wedding,
Oh yeah, our wedding, we had bellies.
that is my point of comparison.
Okay.
So it would grow and shrink from time to time, but it would relatively stay the same. And this is considering I eat anything that I want. So when I want some pancakes, I eat some pancakes. When I want half a gallon of ice cream, I eat half a gallon of ice cream. But the thing is, I've always consistently worked out. So these aren't full-on hardcore workouts, but these are nice short workouts that I accumulate throughout the week. Now, Bonizi, on the other hand, needed to get a program because she just did not have that workout discipline.
Wala.
She would not work out at all. Like in a month, maybe like 3 times.
And then for the past 2-3 months, I've been working out once a week. Walang kwenta, nag-workout pa ako.
So her happy belly is slowly becoming angry, and if she doesn't do anything about it, well, it'll be galit na galit.
Oo, there's not even a human growing in there. Tas galit na yung tiyan ko.
And as for me, a personal update on me is a story of discovery once again.
Ooh,
I
like
have
this.
finally found, or Bonizi has found for me, cottage cheese. You guys do not or might not understand how important this is, because for the past 12 months, there has been no cottage cheese in any supermarket in Metro Manila. I am not kidding. I have been to all major groceries, like 6 of them off the top of my head, and wala talagang cottage
Yeah,
cheese.
wala.
And hindi ko alam kung bakit. I mean, did they stop bringing in cottage cheese during the pandemic? I wonder why. This actually started when the first quarantine hit and all the shipping containers got backed up
Yeah.
in the Manila port. And everybody would just say na, ay sir, na-stuck kasi yung shipment, na-stuck walang cottage cheese. And I like cottage cheese. I use it on my crackers, on my lasagna. I use it alone. I eat it alone. And it was just so weird to me. But last week, Bonizi was able to order some cottage cheese. And I was like, oh my God, this is the first time I'm able to try this out over the past year. So that's just something I wanted to share. I wonder if anybody's on the same boat with me. Has anybody been looking for cottage cheese and unable to find it? Well, I am happy to report that you may now buy some cottage cheese in the supermarket near you.
And with that, I think Soba is the last one to have an update from the family. Soba needs to run around more.
She's becoming so lazy. She
Look
would
at her.
play for like a minute and then that's it. So she's just sleeping and sleeping. So this is something that we have to remedy very, very soon, because I
Yeah.
don't like lazy Soba.
Yeah, so whenever we have packages that we need to pick up in the lobby, we always try to bring Soba and run around with her in the hallways. Syempre, pag walang tao. And that's to hopefully get in her daily exercise.
And with that, we have come to the end of the podcast, but we would like to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by AXA.
Yes, financial planning and of course preparedness for your loved ones is something that we would like to promote to you guys, because it's also something that we do for our own family.
Yes, you should invest in who matters today, and for us, that is our loved ones. And one of the ways that we do that is by investing in a health plan.
Speaking of health plans, you can get them from AXA, and to learn more about their healthcare plans, make sure that you check out their website again, which is www.axa.com.ph, or you can just click the link in the caption below.
Or you can just visit the website and schedule a call with one of their agents.
And with that, Behind Relationship Goals has come to a close for this episode. Thank you guys so much for always sending us emails. If you guys want to send us a letter, you can send it to us at behindrelationshipgoals@gmail.com, or you can type it in the comments below. See you guys next time. Bye.
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 There are different types of families. Families with one too many kids. Families where mommy is also daddy. Families that love in unexpected ways. Families who are always there in times of need. Families that fight for what's best. Families who can't wait to start, but they all share one thing. They care a lot. That's why AXA Healthcare Access puts your health in your hands. It grows old with you. It suits every budget and anticipates all needs. Take charge of your family's well-being with AXA Healthcare Access.